Welcome back. Second hour here for Breakfast Extra. Detention without representation. Well, it's a critical issue that continues to challenge the very foundation of justice in Nigeria. Every day, countless individuals find themselves caught in a web of unlawful detention, often without the benefit of legal representation or a fair hearing. Now, these practices not only violate fundamental human rights, but also erode public trust in the legal system.
So today, we're touching on this pressing issue with two distinguished guests who are at the forefront of the fight for justice and human rights in Nigeria. Joining us are Kenechukwu Osuji. He's the team lead of the Ella Initiative, and also Adiola Olaleni. She's the head of advocacy at the Ella Initiative. Now, this non-governmental organization is committed to promoting human rights through education as well as legal aid and advocacy. There we go. Kenechukwu and Adiola, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It was litigation that was taking me so long to see.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
A group of guests we have today.
Oh, yes.
Wanted to find out how prevalent it is. I know the answer, but to play devil's advocate, how prevalent is it to have situations of non-representation for detainees in custody?
Yeah, it's a very prevalent issue we have in Nigeria. As it stands, there are about 57,000 Nigerians who are awaiting trial.
Say that number again?
57,000 inmates who are currently awaiting trial, who basically don't have access to justice. A bunch of them, a good number of them may have lawyers, but because of the cost of legal representation, securing legal representation, a lot of the 57,000 Nigerians do not have access to lawyers.
That is
staggering number.
that is. Do you feel like that 57,000, there might be people that have slipped through the cracks as well, and who have just somehow pleaded guilty just because, I mean, what gives? I don't have any legal representation, and I don't even know what my rights are, so I might as well just plead guilty and at least have a lesser punishment?
Yes, I agree with you, because some of them, from my experience, we've taken up cases of these Nigerians, you don't even know the offense in which they have been charged. Yeah. So they are surrounded in an environment they're not familiar with, there's pressure, they don't like the environment, they don't seem to have good counsel, and because of the psychological effect and trauma on these individuals, they basically accept whatever is told by them.
So how then do you identify, and then identify and prioritize cases? 57,000 is a lot. So how do you identify them for legal intervention, especially considering the number you just put out?
Yeah, so for us as an organization, we have been fully accredited by the Nigerian Correctional Service. So we take up at the least 20 cases every year, and we render free legal services to at least 20 individuals. So how it works is that because it's a yearly accreditation, we get the permits, and then we go to the prisons that we've been assigned to. We interview the inmates with our team of lawyers who are volunteers, and then we take up the few that we can handle, the 20 that we can handle out of the numerous cases across the country. And then we go to court and ensure that we represent them from arraignments. Most of them have been arraigned up until the time we get judgments.
Diola, may I ask, what are the main causes or the most common causes for people being detained unlawfully in Nigeria that you have witnessed in your experience?
I would say typically it would be police raid.
Police raid?
Yes. So you have situations where police officers will go to maybe suspected criminal site or den, or maybe an area that has been consistently reported that they have like a high rate of criminal activities going on there, or just basically constituting nuisance. So you see a situation whereby they just go and pack a lot of people and then they have them arrested. So it's now typically like a situation of survival of the persons that have most, maybe let's say connection or money or whoever can quickly bail you out. And you see that in those situations, like Kenechukwu said, you'll see people that they don't even know why they are there. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we're just picked up together. This one probably knows why he's here, but I don't know why I was arrested. So you have situations where we interview them and they're like, they don't know why they're there. And they've just been there for a couple of months or even over a year. And there's no clear reason why they are there.
I do
know,
remember a story.
Yeah, I was
Judith.
going to share. Well, we both have a story. I have
remember
a story. Who want to go first?
You go first.
So it's a family folk, and he was sent on an errand, and he went out. And at the time, I think Chelsea and Manchester was playing. This was early 2000s, and the rivalry then was beyond, right? So he went out, and he was passing a viewing center. It was during the halftime, and so he stood with the people at the viewing center, and they were chit-chatting, talking about football. And out of nowhere, the van just came, packed all the boys and all the young boys, and they left. And towards the evening, everyone started going, "Have you seen him?" with our 3310 Nokia, and calling everyone, sending text messages. And then, as we're all walking around, asking questions, an old lady just said, "It's not that yellow boy. We saw them in van now. They packed every one of them."
Wow.
And it's like, what? We started to go through all the police stations in that neighborhood.
The story is not actually different. It's kind of like similar. I remember a father who went out to get suya and never came back. And nobody knew where he was, but it was because he was picked up. So what should people in that situation actually know at that very instance? What should they be able to tell the police, or at least to be able to get them out of that situation?
I would say that, first of all, you need to know your rights. And that's something that is critically lacking amongst, would I say, the typical Nigerian, an average Nigerian on the road. We currently plan on doing like a survey where we have people go out and ask like people on the road randomly, like, okay, just name 5 of your fundamental of your marriage. Do you know just 5, like, or even 3? And then we know that many people will not, because these are surveys that we need to take to be able to critically address the situation, that's the gap that is lacking in education on our rights. Because when you go to the police station and they see that you keep insisting that I have my rights, I want to speak to my lawyer, I want to speak to a lawyer, because you probably do not have a lawyer, but like a personal lawyer. So if you keep insisting that, oh, I have my rights, I want to speak to a lawyer, they see that this one is like, say, like he knows his rights, like he knows what he's saying, or he might be educated, or he might just get us into trouble if he keeps insisting and we do not do anything about it. So it's I would say the first thing that we need to really address would be educating people on their rights. Let people know what it is, and also the fact that they also would most likely have a right to bail. So based on the situation is that, oh, I have a right, and I have a right to speak to a lawyer and also bail in this situation. Can I speak to a lawyer? Can you grant me bail in this situation? I want to be able to speak to somebody that can help me with this. Okay. So I think that's right. One thing that's critical.
I mean, to run this type of organization, to give pro bono legal services, there must be challenges. What are these challenges, and how does it affect your effectiveness in delivering and helping with these free legal services that you render?
I would say that the first thing is funding, because we've been running since 2019, and one thing that we're consistently having to face as a challenge is funding, because once we take these cases, we need to get lawyers to consistently and committedly follow up with these cases. And you have to be able to mobilize all of that you're doing. So we don't have a situation whereby we're not being diligent with these cases. That is one thing that is on the forefront for us, that we're not going to take these cases and not handle them thoroughly. So, and you have to keep punishing them. And then also you find that by the time we follow a case through till the end, now that this person has probably been dismissed, and many times these cases are dismissed and what a dismissal means in court is that the prosecutor has most likely not been able to diligently follow the case for you to be able to proceed to trial. So that case wasn't even tried. So when it's dismissed, in that situation, the awaiting trial inmate has been released. And then how do they find their way back into society? So we also have to support them in that too, because that's also critical. You don't want them to now, let's even say that they were involved in maybe a crime and it wasn't properly prosecuted, so it was dismissed. How do they find their way back to the society? Even if they're not even involved in a crime, the fact that they've been in detention for that long, many people are thinking you went to prison. They're not necessarily thinking, oh, they were in detention. Yeah. It's like, you went to prison, we've not seen you for years. Why should I give you this job? Or why should I trust you?
Why should I even marry you?
Why should I marry
friends?
Exactly.
Is that what you're bothered about?
Yes, now the young man should have a wife.
I have a question. It's a very critical one, because in all of these issues, detention specifically, there's one word that people do not understand exactly how it works: bail. Who's to pay bail? How long before or after? Is there a timeline to how long I can stay in detention without bail being paid. Do give us some insight into that concept of bail.
Yeah, okay. So there are different types of bail. The most common bail that we hear is the bail before arraignment, which people can say is a police bail. And the fact is that by law, bail is free. But every Nigerian who hears this would obviously tell you a story where he knew someone or who basically even paid for bail himself. So that's why we've been going on radio, we've been having campaigns to let Nigerians know that bail is free. So how can you ensure that you do not pay for bail? It's quite simple. You need to have the knowledge of your rights, that bail is free. And it's free because it's premised on the ground that every Nigerian, upon arrest, is innocent until proven guilty. So if you're innocent upon arrest, it's said to be that you're clean, you didn't commit an offense. So why are you then paying for bail? So what we do as an organization is that we open our phone lines to Nigerians who have been arrested, and then for some reason an IPO demands for bail. When we get such requests, we place a call to the IPO, or we place a call to the states, if it's in Lagos State, the state headquarters of the Nigerian Police Force. We ask for the phone number of the DPO, the Divisional Police Officer. When we do that, we report the case to them, and then they insist that the IPO should not get bail. It's happened even last month. Somebody was asked to pay for bail of about 100,000 naira. I couldn't afford it, and he managed to pay 50,000 naira to the IPO. We got aware of this case. We placed a call to the DPO of the police station. By 8 a.m. the next day, the DPO called me that he was at the office, he has retrieved the money that was paid, and that he's going to give the money back to the person.
Where was the money paid into? I'm very curious. Where does the money always go when the police ask for bail? Because in this conversation, it seems like as if it's the people against the police. It's very awkward when the police who are supposed to actually secure you are the ones that we are now even trying to, like, this is how you handle the police. So where does that bail go?
If you're very familiar with the police system.
I'm not. Thank goodness.
Yes, the money.
Go ahead.
They will tell you that the police doesn't have account numbers. Police don't have bank accounts. That's what they will tell you. So you pay cash. And then you pay cash first to the person who is handling your case, and then maybe he shares it around people who are...
they'll tell you they don't have accounts. Give us cash or go across. There's always a POS.
There's always a POS.
There's POS around.
That's the person who should be arrested.
That's the person who should be. But anyway, in this conversation, I'd like to center, women and children, because they are oftentimes the ones who are affected by this unlawful detention, and sometimes numbers don't capture. In both of you, in your work with Ella Initiative, how has it been like with unlawful detention as it affects women and children? Yeah,
so the very first case that we handled, that we secured the release of in Nigeria, was of a minor. That was in March of 2020. I handled the case personally. It was a 17-year-old boy. We saw him in prison. He walked into prison, and I just knew that this young man shouldn't be here. And he couldn't speak English, unfortunately. He could only speak Yoruba. So we had to interpret, translate, and then without a doubt in my heart, I decided that we should take up the case. And then I led the team, and we prosecuted diligently, and we got him released, and the case was dismissed.
Where was he held in there?
He was at the Correctional Center.
But he's a minor.
Yeah.
Why was he at that correctional facility?
So that boils down to the problem of arrest and detention, and then the enforcement of our laws, because he shouldn't even have been arrested. Even if he committed a crime, there's a special procedure, for people who are minors. You don't take a minor, someone who is 15, to a place where there are people who have been convicted.
Hardened criminals.
So that's a problem with our criminal justice system. There's a special procedure for minors. We're not saying minors do not commit criminal offenses, but after such a minor has spent maybe 10 months, 1 year, 2 years in prison, and you're bringing him out, he's not a minor anymore. He can be a minor by age, but
it's already it's gone. That's it. And for women, how is it like with your advocacy work, head of advocacy? What's it like been like for capturing women when it comes to unlawful detention?
I would say that typically, other than the case of the minor, most of the cases that we get are typically from men. So when we get cases relating to women, they're usually domestic abuse and maybe sexually related situations. So many times we do not necessarily have people calling in regarding or reaching out to us regarding women and children. We can also see this being captured in the percentage of women in prison. I think it's 98 to 2%. So would say that the disparity is really far, like it's really large. So like 98% male, 2% female.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I hear that. Don't implicate men. Ella, finally, I'd like to ask regarding reform. How is your initiative? How are you guys going about making sure that people are educated regarding detention and how they can actually get aid when they are detained, or at least just about their rights?
Okay, so I would say that ELA, it's ELA, so Education, Legal Aid and Litigation and Advocacy. So we basically use these channels to pass our message. And education is what we're currently doing is partnering with schools to ensure that human rights education is being taught from from cradle to when they're older. So now when you're younger, you're learning about human rights, you're being familiarized with it. So you do role play, you know, like in what a typical situation of a human rights abuse looks like, or someone is trying to bully you, that's infringing on your right to dignity of human person. So it's like you're not just seeing it as a typical situation. You're able to say that's a right being breached there, or that's a right being infringed upon. So what we're doing is working with schools to inculcate this into their syllabus to ensure that human rights is being taught. And then human rights education is a thing that the United Nations too is very keen on. So we're working to ensure that this is something that we see factor in our educational system. So the legal aid and litigation is where we provide free representation to our waiting trial inmates. We do that yearly. We go to prison, we get cases, and then we ensure that we follow it to the end, document everything, get lawyers to support us, reach out for partnerships with other NGOs, and as well as other people that are ready to support us in funding. And then advocacy is where we're on the radio, coming to television as well, and just basically talking about these things and the gaps in the system. So we're also working to do capacity building sessions with the law enforcement agents. I think that's something that is huge that we really need to focus on, or would I say narrow our lenses on. A lot of retraining and refamiliarizing with the law enforcement agents as to what the rights of citizens are. I would say that sometimes it seems like there is a clash between enforcing human rights and enforcing the law. And I think that should never be, because we're meant to work in concert. Like, it should be a situation whereby I should see a police officer and my heart should not be beating because I haven't done anything wrong. But I'm worried because I'm like, okay, what if they say, what if they do this? So I think that that's something that we need to narrow down on and address as a country. Let's see how we can improve what the impression of police is generally as a country, and just retraining, continuous retraining, making them aware. What's often repeated is often remembered. Exactly.
I mean, and then when you think about it in and of itself, we need complete reform of our entire system, the clogged judicial system, the security agencies, whether or not police is indeed
our
friend.
conditioning as well.
And
Thank you very
Absolutely.
much,
Thank
Diola.
you.
Thank you very much, Kenneth,
Thank you,
for
Kenneth.
joining
so much
us
for
and giving
having
us
us.
a very
Thank
insightful
you.
message here.